On this episode of the Blacks in Technology podcast, I welcome our guest, Sherrell Dorsey, founder of ThePlug Daily, and also the founder of Black Tech Charlotte.
Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.
Welcome, everybody, to the Blacks in Technology Bit Tech Talk podcast, the show where we talk to black men and women who are engineers, innovators, educators, inventors, entrepreneurs, doing amazing things in the world of technology. This podcast is where they share their stories, experiences, ideas, knowledge, and perspective on tech with the bit community. I'm your host, Gray Greenlee. And if you're listening to us, if this is your first time listening to us, you can check us out at www.blacksandtechnology.net. If you're on Twitter, you can follow us on @BlackandTechnology. That's BLKINTECHNOLOGY. Facebook.com/Blacks in Technology. We also have a LinkedIn group under Blacks in Technology. And we also have a Slack group, blacksandtechnology.slack.com. Or you can go to our website, and at the bottom there is a link for the invite form labeled Slack. So just click on that, and you can join our Slack group, which is close to going over 1,000 members now. So that's just pretty exciting. So Blacks in Technology is a tech-focused community and media organization, and we're focused on increasing diversity in technology through increased visibility and participation of people of color in tech. We're always focused on forming new partnerships and opportunities to assist our members with their continued professional growth and development. So if you want to partner with us, send us an email to contact us at blacksandtechnology.net. Just a couple of announcements. We had a great meetup at the Self Conference in Detroit, Michigan over the weekend. I met a lot of great new people that had a lot of great conversations. So I just want to thank Amber Conville for having us there once again at the Self Conference. This is our third year being there and putting on a meetup. So thanks, Amber, for your hospitality. We greatly appreciate it. Also, we're going to be partnering with Usenix and O'Reilly. So check our website here from time to time, and we'll have updates on the partnership. That's going to include some sponsored passes to some of the biggest tech conferences in the United States. So check our website for those. All right, on this podcast tonight, I want to introduce Sherrell Dorsey. She's a social impact tech writer covering technology, sustainability, and equity. And she is the founder of ThePlug, a definitive source of daily Black tech news. And she is also organizing Black Tech Charlotte. So that's kind of what we are here for. We want to help promote the event, the upcoming event. And we want to also talk about what's the latest with ThePlug. So, Sherrell, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I am very grateful to be on the podcast with you tonight, and really look forward to diving into more.
Excellent. And the last time you were with us I looked back at you were actually on the podcast with us before, but it was about close to almost a year ago. And you were, at that time, you had just launched ThePlug. So give us a little bit of background about you, where you're from, your education, how you got involved as a tech writer, and then tell us a little bit about ThePlug.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm actually from Seattle, Washington. So born and bred there, learned how to code in high school as part of a program called the Technology Access Foundation, which afforded me the opportunity to learn several programming languages and then complete high school internships at Microsoft. So, with being in close proximity to some of these major tech giants, it really paved the pathway for me to understand tech and then also kind of see myself in using tech as a mechanism for change and specifically social change. So that is kind of, my sort of foundational background. I moved to New York City for undergrad. I went to the Fashion Institute of Technology and studied international trade and marketing, specifically for the fashion industry. Loved the business side of things. And at that time, there was this sort of proliferation of social media. So a lot of my work in the early stages working for designers and brands was around coordinating content and developing messaging through social media. And I was simultaneously writing for different outlets on sustainability, green architecture, green energy, and just continued to kind of develop those stories on the sideline kind of as a side hustle. Eventually landed at Uber as a marketing manager in Charlotte, and worked there on several campaigns for a little over a year. Took about 6 months off when they decided to relocate our office, and I decided not to go. It took about 6 months to just go dive into more storytelling. I loved what I was doing, but I just felt there wasn't enough visibility around entrepreneurs that were making impact. And so I got a chance to do things like interview Steve Case, who co-founded AOL, to writing for Fast Company, to a whole bunch of other folks. So within about a 6-month time frame, really started to build up this idea that laid the foundation for ThePlug daily.com, which was really around, how do we start covering Black innovators, investors, and startups in a way that is true journalism. And so I launched that idea in April of 2016, and simultaneously was also working on a contract position with Google Fiber here in Charlotte to help roll out fiber optic network, gigabit internet to our surrounding communities, and got to also help with several things across bridging the digital divide. So I've had a very nonlinear pathway to where I am now, but I think the theme overall has really been about using and leveraging technology to create access for others, be it through written form or through specific projects that I've been involved in.
Excellent. And that's great. That's the pathway that you've been taking. I think, especially here at Blacks in Technology, we always applaud the efforts of people that are doing more to increase visibility for Black men and women in tech. So, congrats on the plug. So tell us about the plug. Like, what types of stories are you covering, and what's the response been?
Absolutely. So the plug sends out every day, Monday through Friday. I now have an incredible editor, Tyler Young, who curates the newsletter every single day. So we aggregate news stories from around the web. So we have the top 5 news stories that feature Blacks in tech. And it's not just sort of a hero worship, feature piece. It's really around, who's raised what money, what new initiatives are coming out the pipeline. And then we also share our insights within each newsletter. So in that opening narrative, you always get my insights or Tyler's insights about the state of tech. And so then within that newsletter, you'll get those top 5 news stories. And then we also have a section called the Leads and Opportunities, which really points you towards other opportunities within tech, be it attending a conference, being a guest speaker on a very, important stage as it relates to tech, or submitting maybe some of your work for recognition. So we really try to make it a multifaceted experience for our subscribers. And thus far, we're just continuing to get love from all over the internet, from folks like yourself, and people who really read us religiously and also provide their honest and true-hearted feedback, and people who are also connecting us with other people, whether they be investors or founders or people who are spearheading initiatives, and kind of keep us in the know. And what's really awesome in celebrating 1 year is that, this entire project started off just as an experiment to see, are there even at least 5 news stories a day that feature people of color in technology? And that was sort of the initial question that I started with, and really had no intention on developing it into an actual business. But, after kind of proving the concept and gaining some traction, it was really quite simple to then start turning it into a great opportunity. And so now, with Black Tech Charlotte, that's something that, we've kind of grown into as far as events are concerned, because Charlotte really does not have a tremendous diverse tech scene. And so being here and running a business from here, although, obviously we're digital, so we can kind of be anywhere in the world while doing this work, an extension of our leadership, and like how do we continue to foster, I think, smart conversations, provide journalistic integrity around our stories, and they not just kind of be these patronizing pieces that journalists find because they want to find out, they want to get that sort of tried and true, I was poor, came from the projects, and, I made it out, and I started this tech company. Like, those stories we've heard over and over again, and not to say that they're not valid. It's just, I feel like in this day and age where we have access to so much information and so much data, we continuously highlight the exact same people. And I think it does a disservice for us when we don't have a clear picture and a complete picture of what innovation really looks like, and it's not always found in Silicon Valley. And so that's what ThePlug attempts to do. And moving forward, as we head into our second year, developing some of our own original reporting stories. And so so these are just projects that we are slowly pulling together. It's a project that I've bootstrapped entirely alone. And then, we've taken on different sponsors or what have you where it made most sense. But this is definitely a labor of love at this point, and something that I'm just really proud of.
That's very inspiring. And I know a lot about a labor of love. Blacks in Technology, it's my labor of love, and we're continuing to expand the narrative. But I really like what you said about not having kind of these patronizing stories, and it's something that we thought long and hard about here at Blacks in Technology, and moving forward and producing more content. Looking to stories that inspire and motivate, right, as opposed to carrying on the same narrative that, even when it comes to, the numbers in Silicon Valley or the numbers in tech, and just painting this bleak picture when it comes to men and women of color in technology. And it's something that we felt that there's enough of that, and we don't really want to contribute to that same narrative. We want to do something that we feel that's going to encourage more black men and women to be in tech, whether as entrepreneurs or as developers or as engineers. So I really applaud the effort that you're putting in to change the narrative that's out there. That's excellent. So I recently seen, I'm trying to think, was this on Twitter? I think it was on Twitter. I seen video, or maybe it was on LinkedIn, one of the social media sites. But
everywhere.
I seen video.
Yep.
So tell me what's going on with that.
Absolutely. So one thing I really love about having a small team is that we're always experimenting. So for the last about month and a half, I've been working with a dynamic videographer, Corey Mack, who's from Charlotte, but did a lot of incredible editorial work within the fashion world in New York City, and has just an amazing eye. And so he had actually reached out to me on Twitter and said he loved what I was doing with Black Tech Charlotte, loved what I was doing with ThePlug, and wanted to find a way to work together. So we came up with a weekly Friday, Black Tech Friday recap. And so every Friday we catch people up on the latest news. So, and I'm sure that you get this where, you may not have people who are directly subscribing to your content, but
right.
They're following you on social media channels. And so every Friday, we produce this Instagram series in 60 seconds. We give you those top 4 or 5 news stories that were heavy hitters through the week. So it's a really quick, dynamic recap. And it's been we've gotten such an awesome response. And we definitely push it out there on Instagram as well as Twitter. And just, every Friday, it's your hashtag Black Tech Friday update. So, folks can stay in the know of, hey, like there's some major things happening that we need to pay attention to. So it's almost kind of rolls out like a news style format, but it's still fun. It's still funky. We'll probably do a blooper reel because I do all kind of crazy stuff behind the scenes. But yeah, it's really quick. It's a real quick need to know. And so we're attracting an incredible audience from that content.
Excellent. And I love that the angle that you're taking as far as keeping it short and sweet. People who search the internet or on the internet today are, have a shorter attention span, and, things that are that are long. And, people tend to not stay, not keep their attention. So I like that format of keeping things, really short, really sweet, and quick and dirty, and and giving us the information that we want, and moving on. So that's great, excellent. Is that something that you are thinking about expanding on, or as far as maybe longer, something like maybe longer videos, or maybe into a show, or what are your goals for that?
I mean, honestly, all of the above. Right now, we just wanted to start getting used to people, checking for our content every Friday.
Right.
Obviously, pushing people to become subscribers, but we're definitely always looking for, potential sponsors who want to partner together to really expand it and make it something unique. Sort of updates are really awesome, but I would definitely love to expand and be able to expound on news topics. And I think the great media outlets out there now, like Bloomberg, there's some really great YouTube shows that kind of have more of a news format and really dive into the details about what's going on from day to day. Like, that would definitely be ideal. But I think down the line, that's definitely in our future. But, like I said, right now, we're a bootstrapped, company. So right now we're kind of trying to do the most with kind of, very little. But I definitely see someone kind of tapping us to produce, deeper content. So, yeah.
Excellent. So tell us about Black Tech Charlotte. Tell us where the idea came from, and a little bit about the conference itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Charlotte is a mid-sized market, and it's definitely gone through some major development through the years. And for those who don't know about Charlotte, North Carolina, just as a whole, it's the second largest banking industry in the country behind New York City. So it's home to Bank of America, Wells Fargo, formerly Wachovia, and just a ton of other, Merrill Lynch, just a ton of other sort of big industry players. And so, a lot of Charlotte's wealth, and particularly Black wealth, has come through sort of these corporate environments. And so through the recent years, as Charlotte has grown up, meaning, more high-rise development, more apartment complexes versus houses, a more built environment around the downtown area, creating more density, better transit options like light rail, things like that. And there's this culture that's coming around, a lot of New Yorkers, a lot of folks from Ohio, a lot of people who are transplants now here. The culture has completely shifted. But when you look at sort of the startup environment and the technology environment, a lot of the software development teams are, importing talent, or the talent that's there is not very diverse. So, when I first moved here, I didn't have a job or anything like that. So I spent a lot of time networking. And so I went to environments that were familiar to me. So I started off in the startup and tech environments thinking, this might be a great way for me to find, a potential employer, or at least some kind of cause or initiative that I can be a part of, as part of my civic duty as a newly transplanted resident. Mm-hmm. And I always found that I was always either the only woman in the room, or I was always the only person of color in the room, or just sometimes it was a combination of both. And then I also found the events to be relatively dry and not super useful. I think that where I've had the privilege of being in environments and markets like Seattle and New York City, Charlotte's market is still evolving. We're still kind of learning the language of what it means to have a robust startup ecosystem versus when you're in Silicon Valley, you can walk, a door down and sit in a coffee shop and everyone is like, working for some major tech giant. In Charlotte, that's just not the case. And so I was seeking diversity and also seeking, I think, experience, and not just, hey, here's coffee or here's cocktails, and they're huddled together. Another pivotal moment came for me in September of last year when Keith Lamont Scott was killed by a police officer, and there were just tons of protests in the streets, and a real good look at Charlotte's disproportionality when it comes to the divide in income inequality, and just the studies that show that if you're born poor in Charlotte and within the Mecklenburg County area, you're more than likely to remain poor. And so I think that, all of these kinds of things troubled me, and I've always seen tech as a solution and as an opportunity, sort of no matter what your experience has been. And I think that it can serve, I think, the lowliest to the highest caliber of person. And in my only way to know how I can be of use to a city and to an environment, especially after such a tragedy that mirrors so many things or so many challenges and issues we have across race and class in our country, I thought, let me just try to create an environment where we can really highlight and celebrate, people of color in our communities, folks who are, entrepreneurs who are looking for deeper connections that need to be connected to assets like funding or co-working space or what have you. How can I, create a space for that to happen? And so I piloted, again, I'm a big experimenter. So I piloted in December of 2016, Black Tech Charlotte. I wanted to call it Black Tech Charlotte because I think a lot of times as people of color, we exclude ourselves, like we make an assumption about what the crowd's going to look like. So I wanted it to be very clear, so it was like Black Tech Charlotte became this thing, and I launched it over at Google Fiber where I was working at the time. And I fully anticipated about 30 people coming out, most of those people being my friends and just trying to support me and, so I don't look foolish. And I ended up having over 150 RSVPs for that event. Nice. And it really spoke to the need that, people were looking to connect. They wanted to connect, but they didn't have the right environment. Most of our networking events are extremely segregated. If you want something high caliber and super spot on, it's going to be mostly white. I went to this really incredible NASCAR IoT event last week, and I was probably one of two, people of color within the room. But then if I want to go do something where people of color exist, it's mostly just a party function, and I don't see any functionality around, the work and the efforts to advance entrepreneurship or community. It becomes a lot of pageantry, and it's not very useful, at least not to me. So, after getting the feedback from folks, I said, I'm going to do this quarterly. So give us enough time to build demand around it. So we had an event in September. This past event was in March. And we had Stephanie Thomas from Impact America Fund come out. We had an incredible data analytics professional from Trisata, which is here locally in Charlotte. We've tapped some incredible just business leaders in our community. So we wanted to do a mix of highlighting, here's what's going on in Charlotte, here's what's available in Charlotte, and then here's kind of outside of Charlotte, we want to introduce, people to people who are outside doing amazing things, introduce them to what's going on in Charlotte. So we're about fostering connections for entrepreneurs. And then we also partnered with Carolina Small Business Development Fund, who came on as a sponsor, and we're actually going to be releasing a really cool project at our June event, which is June 1st. So we're doing some incredible things, and I think that, our goals for 2017 were just create a dynamic event and build an audience and serve them well so that they understand, number one, their value, and number two, that, this is a stage for them, and this is how they should be treated. And so that was kind of the ethos behind me and my team developing Black Tech Charlotte. And moving into the future, we're really looking at how do we continue to be leaders in the city. So we're not just, event curators, but we are actually moving the needle, because access to funding in Charlotte alone for anybody, regardless of what color you are, is a challenge. Our investors are risk averse. We don't have a ton of venture capital floating into our city. We don't have any major universities anchoring talent. So there's a host of city issues that we're we want to be able to start developing solutions around this for entrepreneurs and for companies that are looking to tap diverse talent. So that was very long-winded, but I wanted to paint the entire picture of what we are and how we came to be. But yeah, that's the essence behind Black Tech Charlotte.
Excellent. No, I really appreciate the the thought out answer. It really gives us a glimpse into, what you've seen as a problem and what you did to create a solution there in Charlotte. So let me ask you this. Well, so you have an event coming up soon. Is that correct?
Yes, our next event is June 1st, and we actually have Museem Muhammad is our guest speaker. I'll be doing a fireside chat with him, and he's a former Carolina Panthers player who is now a private equity investor. So he's going to walk us through his local business deals, sort of how he got into this world and kind of where he sees Charlotte's business evolution going forward.
Excellent, excellent. And what are some of the other speakers? Who are some of the other speakers that you have lined up?
Hussein is actually our headlining speaker, and we'll have a couple of other things happening. So for each event, we change the location. So for this particular event, it's at Camp North End, which is a new development. I believe it's 45 acres of former warehouse. So you have all this kind of rich history on this particular campus that's being transformed and remodeled and renovated. And the history behind the space is that during World War II, the military used to create missiles and other things needed for the war from that space, and even Henry Ford built some of the Model T cars.
Oh, nice.
So folks will be able to take a tour and listen to the rich history, go to the engine rooms, visit the buildings where things were being made and developed, and really understand like the evolution of Charlotte. So for each of our experiences that we create for Black Tech Charlotte, they're extremely immersive, and they're tied to the greater story of entrepreneurship and innovation in our city. That's kind of one aspect. We'll also be doing portrait shots for a photo series that we're working on to look at, what does Black Tech Charlotte look like? So there's going to be a bunch of different sort of sessions going on. We have a VIP experience where entrepreneurs can speak one-on-one with Lucin, and then we'll have a fireside chat for about 20 minutes. We don't believe in super long programming and a bunch of panels and a bunch of people talking. We want people to get out and connect. So we typically keep them very short and sweet and kind of let the evening rotate around so people can experience sort of everything.
Excellent, excellent. And that's a great format and strategy around the curriculum for the event. So how can people get involved? Like if there was someone who wanted to maybe speak, or do you accept, kind of calls for proposals? I know you say you don't do a lot of panels, but how do you kind of find people to, head up these fireside chats or be like keynote speakers? How is that handled?
Typically, people will reach out to us. We have an incredible speaker for our September event, so that's kind of covered. December, we'll definitely be looking for some new speakers, to come out. Each event is designed very differently, so we may decide, hey, we want 3 speakers, or maybe we just want 1. Typically, I like to connect with people, and so when they reach out and have a compelling story and something that we can tie into a theme and make it different and unique, I'm always, kind of listening in and really appreciative of just, people wanting to lend their talents and, and their expertise to this initiative.
Excellent, excellent. And so, before we get out of here, is there anything else you want our audience to know about Black Tech Charlotte?
Yeah, honestly, for our during the first event, people can go to blacktechinteractive.com to learn more about the series and to also get tickets to the next event. So it's Black as in BLK interactive.com, blacktechinteractive.com. Mm-hmm. And, one thing that I always say is if you're unable to make it, I have a lot of people who will say, listen, I can't make it, but I want to buy a ticket for a college student or for someone that normally can't afford it. Just got an email from someone who purchased tickets, and I'm like, you don't have to purchase them because he actually donated 4 tickets to our last event to high school students, and we were able to bring in 2 high school students who otherwise would not have been able to come to our event. So from a community perspective, we're always about mentorship and what have you, and asking organizations and people to say, hey, listen, we want to come out, we want to support this, and maybe we can't make it, but maybe we can sponsor someone else. And so I always just remind people of that. This is an opportunity for everyone. And the great thing for us is, our budget, everything that we put together here is goes right back into the community. So everyone that we hire, every person that we work with is a person of color. Our vendors are people of color. We do a lot around creating exposure for the businesses that we partner with. And I'm even excited. We also have support from like the Knight Foundation, who really believe in some of this community programming. So, again, if folks are interested or they know people that live in town that would be interested in attending, by all means, make sure you get your ticket and then, gift one to someone else that, could potentially benefit from the experience.
Excellent. And what about volunteers? What about somebody helping out on the ground? How can people find out more information to get involved with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're always looking for volunteers or interns and people who can do everything from the small things like checking people in to just ensuring that guests have a great experience and sort of know where to go, know where to park, what have you. Mm-hmm. And people can, if they're interested, email us at hello@theplugdaily.com. And that's the best way to reach me and my team.
Excellent. And how can people find out, give us all the URLs, all the social media handles, all that, so people can know how to contact you and follow you.
Absolutely. So we're at theplugdaily.com. That's the best way to get signed up with us and to also get direct access to our social media handles. But we are on Twitter and Instagram as _theplugdaily, and you can find us on Facebook at theplugdaily as well. Again, every single Friday on Instagram, we are pushing out that Black Tech Friday update. So you can continue to get to know us. We try to be as transparent as possible behind, who's writing, what we're talking about, what our mission is. So the best way, again, to reach us is at theplugdaily.com.
Excellent. Well, Sherrell, I want to thank you for once again coming on the podcast and talking about the things that you're involved in, and we wish you the best and keep us in tune as to what goes on with the events. We're more than happy to help promote anything that you're doing. So just let us know. Shoot me an email, and much success to you in the future.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate, the opportunity to share what we have going on. And thank you for building a platform like this. It's so important for us to continue to collaborate and share our work.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Well, take care, and we'll talk to you next time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And that does it for this episode of the Blacks in Technology podcast. I want to thank our guest, Sherrell Dorsey, for coming on tonight and speaking with us about what's been going on with ThePlug, and also Black Tech Charlotte. For those of you in the Charlotte area, definitely go and check out the event. And tune in Thursday, May 25th, 9 p.m. for another exciting episode of the Blacks in Technology podcast, where our guest will be hip-hop recording artist and PhD student Samus. So that's one you definitely don't want to miss. So check us out on Thursday. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology.